That's right, another electric Mercedes-Benz review. The last one I drove was the GLB, or I'm sorry, the EQB, just said it was electric. In a nutshell, I actually really enjoyed it. I mean, I'm going to summarize my review in a few words. It was just way too expensive, and the range was kind of bleh. But everything else about the car, the styling, the packaging, everything was fantastic. The electric Mercedes-Benz that I drove just before it was this car's big sister, I guess we can put it, the EQS. And if I'm to summarize that review, that car left me cold, uninterested, disappointed in what Mercedes-Benz had done with the car, where everything you see and feel is concerned. As far as the electric powertrain and the technology involved in making all that happen, that, well, in a few words, blew my mind. I was very curious to see if the EQE, the smaller version, if you will, the E-Class as opposed to the S-Class of electric sedans at Mercedes-Benz, was going to do more or less the same thing the GLB did compared to, say, a GLE or especially a GLC, where the smaller versions or the smaller vehicles that some automakers make are just a lot better in so many words. Hear me out, okay? I'll just take Volvo quickly, for example. Now, I've driven the XC40 a number of times, and including the Recharge, all electric versions, and compared to the XC60 and XC90, it feels like it is so sorted. Let me try something else here. You know when you want to stretch a recipe, for example, and you add, I don't know, a little bit more water to make yourself a little bit more spaghetti sauce, or you want to thicken another sauce with extra flour, something like that. You're stretching. You're losing the focus, the essence of what it is you're trying to make. And that is what most automakers struggle with. But, at least in my opinion, but that exact recipe absolutely works convincingly for consumers as a whole. Which means that, in a nutshell, the EQE is so much nicer and better than the EQS that I drove late last year. I will add one point where I think maybe the EQS was an early production model because there were a lot of things. See, I was trying to be nice, but a few of the issues that were in EQS are still present in this car, which was built a lot later. And so, as such, as we move forward, in this video review of the EQE, this is a 500 by the way, there are a few other versions, I'll tell you about that in a moment with the pricing. We're going to do the walk around of what is essentially still a really ugly car, just absolutely horrible ugly car. But it's nice on the inside, I guess, mostly. And but still, like the EQS, a really, really good drive. So please hang in there. Here we go. Diluted. Diluted is the word I was looking for before to describe what OEMs do when they take a good small product and stretch it and increase its size and width and then do it again for a bigger version. And that's what's happened between the EQE and EQS, and I can only imagine how good, say, an EQC will be. It's going to be the best probably of the Benz electric EQ Benz lineup. Okay, a word on styling again. It's just a no-go for me. I get the reason. I mean, this thing has a coefficient of drag of 0.22, making it one of the most aerodynamic cars. And certainly it is a stunner at like 5 meters long with a, I don't know, it looks like a 3 meter long wheelbase. It's extraordinary. Its presence, it's something else. But it looks like an old car in my mind, the design. And it's especially bad up front, especially when you mix it with the polar white color on this one. This gloss black front end. I mean, it's been raining on and off all week, so that's why it's all spotty. But it's just not pretty. I mean, a Tesla Model S, despite its age, still looks visually it just fits together better. And if you compare this to a Taycan or the EQS to a Taycan, there is just seriously no comparison. Anyhow, okay, so in US, an EQE 350 is priced from $74,900. If you want 4MATIC, so a second electric motor, you add $3K. For the 350 4MATIC, and there's the 500, this one, 4MATIC being standard. And then there's the big AMG EQE for $106,900. In Canada, it starts with the 350 4MATIC at $85,600. The AMG EQE is $121,500, but just hold on, okay? Because my EQE 500, which starts at a still, you know, solid $95,000. With that, I mean, you get a 12.3-inch digital IP, 12.8-inch touchscreen, which is massive, 19-inch wheels, power, panoramic sunroof, wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Hey Mercedes voice activation, MBUX, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's loaded, but this model is loaded with like 6 O's and 4 A's because it's got options. Napa leather, the Pinnacle trim, which adds all kinds of safety features and a few other things, massaging front seats, rear heated seats, rear axle steering up to 10 degrees. That is the most best absolute option on this car, and a few other things for about $120,000. That's right, that's right. Essentially, most of the options are fitted to this car. Packaging has changed, I have to admit, since this car was spec'd out, built and delivered to Mercedes-Benz Canada. But yeah, the one option that this car does not have is the air suspension, which is only $2,500. I don't get it. I just really don't get it. And little aero bits kind of make it, I mean, it's necessary because then it would just look like a soft-boiled egg, or hard-boiled egg, I should say, that's been squashed. I guess that's enough for the wheels are cool. I'll give them that. Very cool kind of blade-ish type deal for aero. Okay, trunk. I love that. You know why. No specs for trunk volume, but I'm going to say about 350 to 400 liters, somewhere in the middle. I don't think you'd fit a golf bag in there. Not one. Be warned, golfers. It's happened to me like 3 times now. There you go. Okay. Door handles pop out usually when you walk up to it, but I've been walking around it all this time while I'm doing the video, so now it won't pop out. Can you pop out? You don't wanna. Well, I feel like a fool. There we go. That went well. Yeah, so there's your Napa leather. The one thing, I mean, given the size that I was just talking about, it is huge in here. And ingress and egress, despite the very, you know, swoopy roofline, ingress and egress is actually really nice. Big opening at the bottom, you know, not quite horizontal, but still, you know, you got a duck. Fit and finish. Look, this is a Benz. It's a high-end Benz. So everything is thought for. I mean, look at the amount of leg room in here. It's just insane. Yeah, the prepping is on for the climate control because it's kind of warm, or has been for the last few days. So that's working right now. If you hear something when I get in before I start it up, well, the cross-stitching the materials, it's just beautiful. I love every textured feel. The latest collection of seat control buttons are fantastic because they barely move, but the seat actually moves. It's really nice. The dashboard, let's just start it up. So there's your 12.8 display. It's really nice. I have to admit that it works well. This is the 12.3 IP. Slightly configurable changes with a few drive modes and all of that. The interior is nice, like I said. I mean, look at the way. I mean, this all lights up. You can kind of get, there you go. The interior mood lighting is really, really nice, and the seats are absolutely comfortable. Where it gets a little bit complicated, but I've surprised, this is only my second time experiencing this infotainment system, but it kind of makes sense fairly quickly, right? If you want to access a few other things like that, yes, it has massaging seats, which are included in this version. I don't know, it's surprisingly intuitive. I did not expect that it was going to be this easy to work with so quickly. So I'll give points where points need be awarded, and that's here. I do love this EQ shortcut. Gives you all of the information you need when driving around, and everything EV related. It really works well. I should not have put it on. There we go. Dynamic driving modes. I've been in individual, as you can see. There's the powertrain in sport, and if there was an air suspension, I suspect there would have been a chassis or suspension component to that. So effectively this mode is useless, but I'm using it anyway because why not? I haven't been playing much with Eco because this thing has an incredible range, and I'll tell you more about that in a few seconds. But look, storage. Two of the issues that were present in the EQS was that the passenger seat rattled, and when I picked up the car it did exactly that. So I moved it and it stopped. And then I suppose I sat in the car with the family and my spouse, and she perhaps moved the seats and it started rattling again. So I moved it forward slightly and it doesn't move anymore. That was one of those problems. The other one, nice storage down here by the way, was this bridge above the center console in the EQS moved. This one does not. But it's still cheapish hard plastics, which is really unfortunate for a car of this price. Storage, I think that's about it when it comes to that. Visibility is not that bad, but when you get to this point, yes, you have this nice opening, but the base of the A-pillar is so far forward and it's so wide that you kind of feel like you're in a cage, which maybe is comforting for some, but for me, I lose the perspective of where my front wheel is when I turn. Anyhow, but when you do turn though, you turn quickly because of four-wheel steering. So let's get on that now. As I'm getting ready to take off and I'm setting up the climate controls, something just happened when I picked up the car. Obviously, I can never replicate that exactly when I'm doing the review. That's just the way it goes. But as the functioning in auto and wanting to push more cold air because it's warm outside, the dash begins to crack with the cold air circulating in the conduits behind it. The dashboard was cracking, like crack, 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 as if though it was contracting because it's cold back there. These are the types of things that will tell me and confirm essentially that most of these EVs, not just Benz, just most of these new EVs are not designed to last. Not only that, they will not last. But while they do last, at least in the case of the EQE, it's going to be good times behind the wheel. And this is a 500, so it's dual motor setup. It's 402 horsepower. 633 pound-feet of torque. Instant brain-quashing power. And that kind of power is enough to launch this 5,500 pound sedan. 5,500 pounds. 200 kilometers an hour in 4.7 seconds. Oh, I forgot to show you the paddles for the regen braking. So there are 3 modes with the paddles. You can kind of see, yeah, there you go. There's the top of the plus. So when you go into negative, you go into strong recuperation, and then there's normal, and then there's none. And there's also a way through the menus, which I forgot to show you, that you can actually dial in creep, well not dial in, but add or program creep to occur so the car never comes to a full stop if that's what you prefer. Otherwise, you can do one pedal driving. Well, you can't see my knees, but well, there you go. See, I wasn't on the brake. The car stopped on its own. I shouldn't do these things. It makes me look like a crazy person. Now, range, obviously. Big battery, 90.6 kilowatt hour unit. And when fully charged, it'll give you 418 kilometers. So I've had it full with an indicated 410. So that's pretty impressive, considering that I might not be, the most, I like to do that. What can I tell you? It's part of the job, and it's part of the job description. So that's really, really impressive. And charging too is quite impressive. I mean, this car is capable of up to 170 kilowatts of DC charging. So like a full, well, not a full charge, a 10 to 80 charge will take about 32 minutes. And if you're at home, it's got a 9.6 kilowatt charger on board. So you're looking at like 9 hours to get to nearly 100%, give or take. Now, as I sit comfortably at a frickin' traffic light, I can tell you about, because I'm not moving, the 4-wheel steering. the rear wheels will turn in the opposite direction up to 10 degrees, which significantly, one, increases this car's maneuverability. It's uncanny. And it also, it's just, like, what am I trying to say? The maneuverability is extraordinary, and the quickness of the steering. Like, you give a little nudge to the wheel and immediately the car goes there. I mean, the first few times, if you pick one of these up or you take it for a test drive, first few times, and if it has four-wheel steering, of course, go easy when you yank on the wheel, because this thing is really, really sharp. Oh, it's got great brakes too. Speaking of brakes, see, this is why I have to be moving when I'm doing the driving portion of a review. I like the EQS. That, by the way, is my tripod. Like the EQS, for some reason, Mercedes-Benz thinks it's necessary that while in brake regen mode, the brake pedal has to physically move. I do not understand that. I don't know why. I know that there's at least one other automaker that has the same program, but at first, which is something you will get used to, because we're typically used to, the pedals are being just a little bit offset, like the throttle is a little bit below the brake pedal, so we know to lift and then move over and then push down. But if you're in max regen, like I am, strong recuperation, the pedal actually goes in physically. So if you need to get onto the brake pedal quickly, like, you lift your foot and suddenly you don't have 1 inch to go down to reach the pedal, but you have 2. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it can be very panic-inducing when you forget about it. And the other thing too, and this is maybe for only a handful of you, I'm a left foot braker. And I did a lot of track, and you want a left foot brake. And the weird thing with the left foot brake is that the pedal always comes back up and taps the other side of your foot when you're getting ready, which it just did twice now because I'm still in strong recoup. And then it's even worse because when you get on the brake, well, then there's again a certain sense of panic where you push down hard and then you finally tap the brake pedal and then you come to a stop. Otherwise, the ride is really, really good. I mean, it's very plush, and I can only imagine how much better, nicer, more comfortable and sorted it would be with the optional air suspension. There's little to negative to say about the driving experience in this car. The luxury, the effort, in my mind, effort being the financial development on behalf of Mercedes-Benz, went into the platform and the powertrain. Because this will evolve while...
Please check your Mercedes Me settings to use online functions of the voice system.
I lost my train of thought. But the point is that, what's beneath me has life left in it. What's around me, much, much less so. That's the compromise that you'll have to live with if you opt for an EQS or an EQE for the time being. Compared to a Taycan, there is no comparison, and I'll end it on that.